Welcome to Around Town, featuring what's going on here in the Concord area. I'm your host, Dick Patten. It's a pleasure to welcome you back as we're now in the middle of July, and I'm getting ready to turn, well, I guess become an official senior citizen next week. So, anyhow, with that, and I have my Michigan tickets, game tickets, and so I'm ready for Ann Arbor in September. But anyhow, today I'm very pleased to have as my special guest, Mr. Sica. I'm not going to call him by his first name because I still have a rule that no matter if you were my teacher or not, I cannot sit here and call you, well, Tom, what's up with you today? You know, gee, Tom, you know, look pretty good for yourself there. But no, I have Thomas Sica, who is the principal of Concord High School, and yes, I have the Tide here. And I've been showing him.
And notice the year on the cover.
1970. Oh yes, yeah. I know, 1970.
Yeah.
And going through some of the pictures of the different teachers that I had or that I knew of, and those are still alive. And things have just changed up there.
Yeah.
You know, when I go up there once in a while to pick up somebody, or if I just drive up there to go to the doctors or something up past here, it's amazing to me because when I was there, of course, that new wing wasn't there.
Yeah. What was
that?
that?
Crossover.
What was that area when you were?
That was where the gym we had our gym classes out there. There was a big oval track, and we used to have to run around that track for and classes.
Wow.
Sometimes 8 times or whatever it was to be the mile or whatever. Mm-hmm. But that was the gym area. Mm-hmm. And and of course just up above that knoll was where teachers parked their cars.
Yes.
And there was an entrance that came out on that side to go out into the parking area or whatever too. Mm-hmm. So, and you could go in through there for your classes, up to the stairs, or if you went down to the basement for classes, like 10th grade, so you got to remember 10th, 11th, and 12th was there when I was there. Yeah. And 10th grade home rooms were up on the second floor, third floor.
Yeah.
And because I had Grace Taylor, or Mrs. Taylor, was my homeroom teacher in 10th grade. And her son was in my class, Bill Taylor. And then...
And what did she teach?
She had to be either geography or something. Because usually up in that area there was all the history, geography classes, except for the contemporary problems that I had with Mr. Spears. And second floor was where juniors had their classrooms, and that's where the whole English and some of the math classes were. And then first floor was where the seniors had their classrooms, homerooms. And that's where a lot of math classes were and whatever else, homerooms, I don't know, whatever else was in there. Because as you went up the hallway, the principal's office, you know where the auditorium is now?
Yes.
Well, it still is. Mm-hmm. As far as I know, it's where it is. Right there was where there was the reception area and where Mr. Barry's office and Mr. Brown's offices were. Okay. I don't know what's in there now. It doesn't look like there's anything.
Yeah, we have community education has been housed up in that area right outside the Chris McAuliffe Auditorium.
Yeah. And of course the auditorium is that's where we went. And it was odd. The only assembly that I can remember was when Senator McIntyre came in to speak. And he got booed, and the teachers were telling the students, shh. They were booing him for some reason. I don't know if it was because of Vietnam. I don't know what it was. But anyway, then down in the basement was where the science wing was out, and jetted out. There was the typing classes, bookkeeping, accounting, all that stuff was down in there. Then there was another wing out, more like you went outdoors, and there was like one of the where the auto shops were and all that. Mm-hmm. There was some classrooms out there, and that's where Mr. Monahan had his accounting class out there. And like I told you, you got him talking about basketball, forget the class, you got an A anyway.
Yeah.
That's how he was. He was good, and he died early, too early. But it was different back those days, and I understand that we had to have 16 credits to graduate at that time. Now I know here that they're up to 21 or 22.
20 credits to graduate, but most of our students graduate with far more than 20 credits.
You had to have 4 years of English. That was standard.
That remains?
Yeah, 2 years of mathematics, one of which had to be something, and then 1 year of science.
Was it just 1 year of science?
1 year of science.
Yeah.
That was required.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had to have 2 years of geography, one of which had to be world history.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was, there was something else in there. There was 4 of English, 1 science. Maybe it had to be 1 science.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 mathematics. Of course, gym class was required. You had to have 3 years of that, not 4.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the classes we took at Runlet counted up there for the
because you were ninth graders.
Ninth graders, we were considered because Mr. Barry, I can remember one day he came down to greet the class of 1970, as we called us.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought down with him the Concord High Band with the majorettes. Yeah. Now you got to remember now, in the same way when we had 6th graders, we had move-up day at Runlet. And we got the tour of the school, and the Runlet Band, at that time they were called the White Band or the Blue Band.
Mm-hmm.
The White Band was more sophisticated. The Blue Band was the 7th graders maybe, and their majorettes. Yeah. Today you can't find a majorette on either school now for their band.
No.
Now, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, we have color guard, for our marching band. Yeah,
but yet the colleges are all still majorettes, but that's what they had, and so they would come down and do their talks. They would, and of course they always stressed the majorettes for the band and all that, and it was quite a day. But move-up day, I remember from 6th grade, was really an eye-opener. Because Runlet was like, along with taking school buses. Yeah. And it was like, what a horror story.
And do you remember how many elementary schools would have been in existence at that time throughout the city? Because you were all coming to the one middle school.
Well, Dame School had kindergarten through 6. Yeah. Kimball was kindergarten through 6. Conant, kindergarten through 6. Yeah. Rumford, kindergarten through 6. Mm-hmm. Garrison, kindergarten through 6. Yeah. And then Dewey was kindergarten through 2nd, I think, or 3rd. Mm-hmm. That's where the superintendent has that's where their offices are now, at Dewey. That's over by White's Park.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Eastman was kindergarten through 6, but for some reason, the year that I was in 6th grade at Dame, Eastman shipped their 6th grade students over to Dame. Oh. And they hated that.
Wow.
Oh, they did not like coming to the Heights.
Yeah,
they resented, even though we're neighbors over there, they resented that. It was very hard to get to talk to those kids because they didn't want to speak to us at all. I don't know whether it was to get a chance to get used to alternating classes. I don't know. Yeah. But it was different. It was heaven than there. Yeah. And then that was it. There was no other schools. I don't think.
Walker School.
Well, no, I'll take it back. Walker School. Yeah, Walker, kindergarten through 6th, and Millville.
Oh, okay.
Millville was still in existence back then. Out by St. Paul School.
Yes.
That was still that was in existence then.
Wow. So that was a big, change going to the middle school at that point, then being 7th, 8th, and the junior high model, right? So the first time all those schools coming together. Yeah.
It was. And I don't know what happened over the summer. Whether some of these kids exchanged addresses, I don't know. But all I know is that when September came, and I got on the bus with some of the kids that I was friendly with, all of a sudden, they didn't speak to you. And I thought, wait a minute here. 2 months ago, we were dancing on the same floor. We were chumming around together, and nobody was above anybody else. And now today, I'm not good enough to sit in the same bus seat with you. You know, it was a different ball game altogether.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the middle school, I think, does a really nice job of really welcoming kids in. There's still a move-up day that they have, but just that notion of now with the new elementary schools, there are 4 main feeder schools coming to the middle school, but it's the first time that kids really begin to branch out and form new relationships. Some of our students know one another from different activities in the city growing up, but it's interesting. Even as they come into the high school, there are still times where students are, for the first time, that they've been in class with one another, that they haven't had that experience before.
Well, too, and you got to remember, Runlet was a horror story. 7th and 8th grades were horror stories. And I think it's because sometimes if you were classified, say like I was in 7A when I was in Runlet. Now, if you heard 7A, you say, oh boy, he must be really smart to have the A after 7. But it wasn't. See, 7A was down below. 7D might have been up there, or 7H might have been the top class. But that's how you were broken down into whatever.
Yeah. Then we don't do
and
that anymore.
8th did the same thing. And 10th grade, I don't think they did that up there. If I remember right, Concord High didn't do that.
Yeah. Well, I've got to say that I think the middle school does a fabulous job, with their students. If you went, you'd see a lot of happy kids, and the number of opportunities that are made available, everything from the co-curricular programs, the academic programs, after school. It's amazing to see the number of students staying after. We have the 21C program, and that has just really enlivened and invigorated the after-school course offerings. Even during the summer, just district-wide, 13% of our students are involved in after-school or after-school year programming. So you're looking at in excess of 500 students district-wide who are doing different kinds of summer programming. So things are a little bit different than 1970 for sure, huh? Yeah. But it's amazing that it all comes back to you so quickly.
Well, it's funny because, see, myself, and Ian's heard this many times, and sometimes I feel like a broken record, but for some reason, I was bullied very heavily in school, in 7th grade and 8th grade, very heavily. And in 8th grade, it really, it came to an awful climax for me.
Yeah.
But, the trouble is, at that point, it's years now, and they say, well, you have to forget what happened back then. You can't. In some cases, you can't, Tom, because of the circumstances that happened. Like in 7th grade, I was in with more or less kids my own academic whatever, and we got along fairly well.
Yep.
But in 8th grade, I got put into the college group. What do I know about Ivanhoe? I didn't study Ivanhoe in 7th grade, or I didn't get into this or that. I mean, I was in modern math. Now, there's one for you. In 7th grade, I was in the old-fashioned arithmetic.
Yep.
And yes, I guess they said my marks were above average, and that's why I got shoved up there. But the sad part was I couldn't do modern math. And that's what they called it, modern math. I couldn't do it. I finished with a D- that year. My folks couldn't do it. They didn't understand it. I went to a friend of mine, which they were joint friends with their parents.
Yep.
She had a hard time with her son because he was in it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like now they call.
So during that time period, like, what kinds of things would students do if they needed, that extra help, or they were trying to understand something?
There really wasn't that much there.
No.
You either had to stay after, or if they did, they might not have a way home because the buses didn't run a second time around.
Yeah.
So if you didn't catch your first bus, that was it. You had to walk.
Yeah.
Or your parents were working and they couldn't come get you.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, they didn't offer tuition, tutors, I should say, or someone to help you. I mean, there should have been a buddy system there somewhere intact, especially for the 7th graders. An 8th grader should have been assigned to a 7th grader or something of that nature.
Yeah, and they do have many of those very supports that are in place today. That, so look, sadly, that there are those. You're right. You don't just forget those kinds of experiences, but you do hope that we're always learning and improving on how we can do things. And
gym is another one. A lot of kids in physical education, to me, and I said this to my gym teacher, he's still alive and he goes to this church, but one day we got talking and I said, you made the big mistake with me because you were hot out of the Marines and you expected the rest of us to be Marine candidates too or something.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us couldn't climb that rope with a board up there and slap the board and come down. Yeah. I couldn't do it. I was afraid of heights. There were some of us that couldn't hit a baseball or a basket. I couldn't dribble a basketball. I never played basketball in school. Football, yes, I could play football, but I was not a basketball player. And, you got made fun of because you couldn't dribble or something or that nature. And so, it was very tough. Mm-hmm. I said, the trouble with it, you should have, or somebody should have checked out to see what your physical abilities were. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And at that point, we should have been divided into the group that either was learning or was the pro, the jocks.
Well, you would be very pleased to see some of the offerings through the physical education department. Yeah. I mean, there are some of the traditional classes, but there's a fair bit of choice that students have to meet those requirements. I won't be able to rattle them all off, but I mean, you'll see things like a yoga class. You'll see things like self-defense for women. You'll see CPR classes. And it's that understanding that there are many ways that we can provide that that level of physical education and give kids choice, and they're very responsive to those selections.
And of course, the teachers today are not as tough as they were. Now I'm going elementary now.
Okay.
The year was when I was here. Now in Dame School, we had a principal she was a good woman, very good woman. She was a nice lady. Her name was Dorothy Guyman. Mm-hmm. She was principal at Dame School for many years, till she got cancer and died, I guess. But the kids respected her so, because when she walked into the auditorium or the cafeteria, because it was the same room, all she had to do, if there was a noise level going on in there, because sometimes she'd eat her lunch in there, but sometimes she wouldn't. But if all she had to do was to come in there and go just like. And boy, if you didn't shut up or quiet down, you knew it. Mm-hmm. There was nothing like grabbing you by the ear and out you came. And that was the way with a couple of teachers in the 2nd grade. There was one, same thing, grabbed you by the ear and threw you in or whatever. And they would never dare do that. Yeah. But that's what it was. Mm-hmm. But she was a principal that was really, I held her in high esteem as Dorothy Guyman. But at Runlet, we had Richmond. Samuel Richmond was the principal then, but Carl Bartlett took over for him. Okay. Because Richmond went over to St. Paul's School to do the Advanced Studies program.
Okay.
But his wife stayed on and did the librarian at Runlet. And of course Barry was up there at the high school. But, you know, I don't know. Sometimes I don't think the guidance counselors were very interested either. Because they didn't really listen like they should have. You know, which was sad, because if they had of, then maybe the kids would have felt like going to talk to them. But you got that attitude that, you know, like, don't waste my time, you know, or whatever. It just didn't, you know.
I don't know when the last time you had a chance to visit Concord High, or.
Oh, I haven't been up there. Well, we hosted an exchange student. We did a group of them in the late 90s. This is why I said to you, when I went, we had one in 98. It was from Bulgaria. 97, we had one from Brazil. It was a 6-month one. The other one was there for a year. And when I went to the graduation, I said, where is the bandwagon? You know, where they're smoking cigars, the boys, huh? And they're throwing beach balls. I felt like I was at Fenway Park. I said, this isn't a graduation, this is more like a party. In my class, you'd never think of doing that. And that's when I said to you about the arena and stuff. Using the arena for, if it rained, why aren't they moving it inside the arena?
As opposed to the gymnasium.
Yeah,
I remember you saying that.
Well, yeah.
I hope you get to see graduation on CTV. They were there, you know, to help film that, and it was a beautiful event. I mean, Judge McAuliffe was the guest speaker. He did
Steve McAuliffe. Yeah.
It was just a great day, a celebration.
It was a beautiful day, because it didn't look like it was going to be at first.
You're absolutely right.
I remember that.
It was a graced moment for us all, because.
Has it been hard for you, because you were inherited a position that was, Mr. Conley was very well thought of, and here you come up now, and I had never heard of you. And how long had you been an assistant principal?
I came to Concord High School the same year that Gene Conley came as principal, and you're absolutely right. You know, it's awfully big shoes to fill. My toes rattle around in them, you know, on a given day. But I had it was a great opportunity to work with Gene during those years. So I worked at the high school as an assistant principal from 2002 until 2010. So 8 years at the high school, and then I went over to the middle school for 6 years, and then I just completed my first year back at the high school.
So what changes now? You've got some different. You say things are so hunky dunky. But then you've got some different things going on there that we didn't have back those years. You've got a possibility of a kid or a young person coming to school with a gun or a knife or drugs or alcohol, which back in my day, we didn't have that. The worst thing that we did was they had some kid throw off a stink bomb. And smell the buses, or smell a room up with a egg odor, or whether acid odor or something. But what do you do? I mean, now I know you got a resource officer up there, but still, you've got some challenges that you didn't have like we had back those days.
I mean, the world is a different place from when you and I were going to high school. And look, I'm at the heart of who I am. I'm an optimist, and I'm a big believer in kids. They provide an incredible amount of optimism for that hope of the future. And to be able to work with our high school students and students in our district, it really gives you that sense of hope. And I mean that most sincerely. Like anything, there are human nature is what it is. There are going to be times that are challenging, but the way I look at that is that we have the opportunity to, in the most positive way, to put our thumbprint on the lives of kids by how we respond. And yes, creating a safe environment for kids is absolutely an imperative for all of us. I find overwhelmingly kids at Concord High School, they respond very generously. And none of us, have polished halos that float above our heads, but they're, sometimes, when people step aside from the person that they're trying to be, you get it back on the tracks, and you'll learn from those things. And I think that's all part of growing up, and it certainly goes beyond the walls of Concord High School.
You seem like a very easygoing principal. Does it take a lot to get you to the point where you're going to boil over, or do you have a fast fuse?
No, but I'm pretty even-tempered. I try to do things that keep you that way. Whether it's out in the morning for a quick run before the workday. But throughout my education, I was very fortunate that where I was surrounded by people that really set that example for me, and I saw that. And not everything that I did was perfection. I made my own fair share of mistakes, but I was very fortunate to have people around me that showed me another way, and that there was something bigger. You made mistakes, but you weren't the mistake that you made, and there was also that approach is coupled with an expectation of living to your higher self.
Now, do you live in Concord?
I don't. I wish I did. I live in the Lakes region.
Do I say excuse me?
No, you don't.
You're not up at the Winnipesaukee with the Marriotts and all the
No.
what was his name? Mitt Romney's and all that.
No. I live in a little house that we bump into each other. I have three kids, and my mother-in-law, who just turned 92, also lives with us. So, we're a little connected for those very reasons.
So you don't mind coming down there?
Oh no, I love being in Concord. And
Concord, I don't know where Concord High. I mean, I know we got the Deerfield kids in there now. We lost Bo, and I don't know what happened there. I think that was a foolish mistake. But anyway, you've got Deerfield, and I have cousins that I didn't know I even went there at Concord High. I was shocked when I found out I had 2 or 3 of them that graduated from there. And that was, I think, Menswaw was, the last name was Menswaw, or Hoyt was one. Hunter Hoyt, and then his brother Courtney Hoyt, maybe, or I can't remember. Anyway, they loved it at Concord High. And I didn't think, being from Deerfield, whether they would like it or not, but is there room for more to take in another town? If they're like, I know Canterbury was maybe thinking, I think, and there was somebody else that was another town that was maybe searching the possible. Pittsfield, that was one. Yeah. Do you think time came you could absorb Pittsfield?
Right now, our student population sits just around 1,700 students. When I first started at Concord, we were just over 2,000.
Really?
And so, that has been a demographic that we've known. There has been a decline, nationwide. So your question, do we have room for more? I always like to say absolutely, but that is clearly a superintendent and school board, decision to enter into, something to make sure that it's the right match for both communities.
Now I notice now, I know we buzz, but you've got more foreign exchange students now than you ever had. When I went to school, I don't remember any of them there at that time.
Well, we probably don't. I mean, we do have some foreign exchange students. We have a limit. There's a school board policy that really puts a limit on the number of students that we can enter into an agreement with who are on foreign exchange. Our student population overall, I mean, we have a number of refugee families who have settled in Concord, our new American students, and they absolutely enrich, our school. You were sharing some memories that weren't always so fond growing up, that sense of, developmentally, people not always embracing new friends. Sometimes that sense of clutching on to what's familiar is the safe way out, and that can translate into, some behaviors that are really unkind and beyond unkind. You alluded to some other things. Our new American students, we have one of our staff members. She's a social worker at this school, Anna Marie Di Pasquale. And about 6 years ago, Anna Marie began a club, and with the notion of our new American students in mind. It's called the Be the Change Club, and every Thursday there's a lunch up in one of our. It's a professional library. We opened it up for this club to meet, and kids can just come up and have lunch with each other. You don't have to be a new American. You want to meet someone new. You want a different setting, but to go in and again, I'd love to have you come visit us, and be a great opportunity for you just to come to, you'd see up front some of those changes, and kids just wanting to meet new people, introduce themselves, extend themselves, and form new friendships. And that's the beauty. You really, as I said earlier, the working with our students at Concord High School, you see these relationships, these friendships form with people that they never would have dreamt, they would have ever met in their life, and it's I think it's a real strength of the high school.
Well, it's really interesting because, like I said, I'm going back all these years, and yeah, I know I got to wrap it up, but hopefully we can get you back on again soon before school starts, because I got some other questions for you, including why before Labor Day, why so many teacher conferences. I mean, when I went to school, we had one day off for teachers' convention. And we always started the Wednesday after Labor Day, so that's another topic we'll get into.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd love to, and you've got a great smile, so I wouldn't be afraid to come and talk to you.
Come visit us at the high school. We'd love to have you.
Are you there in the summertime?
I sure am.
Really?
I am. Yeah.
Wow. So. It would be fun to see the old, the different rooms where I was at, but you're not handicapped accessible, right?
Well, we do have elevators. Yep. And so.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to do that then.
Yeah, no obstacles there.
Oh, that's good.
All right.
All right.
Very good. Well, thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. Well, you too there, Mr. Sica. And so with that, we'll wrap it up and say thank you to my director, Ian Marx. And again, we've been visiting with Mr. Tom Sica, from the principal of Concord High School, home of the not the Green Giants, I'm sorry. The Crimson Tide of Concord High,
Phew.
I had to do that on purpose. But anyway, any questions, give him a call at 225-0800, and he'll certainly answer anything you've got to try to ask him on. So with that in mind, have a great day, great week. We'll see you soon around town. I'm Dick Patten.